Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to open with a quick story. A few years ago, more years than I would like to at least admit at this point, I was involved in a national program called Save the Music. And it was a stunning program because we were able to raise money to supply instruments to students in schools when schools were cutting back on their arts and their music programs. And lo and behold, right here in our community, because of this person primarily, we have a program here called Be Instrumental that's going to accomplish the same thing for schools in our area, schools in Saratoga, Warren, and Washington County. This is Evan Mack, who I met before today,
Yeah.
and he called me up and said, we've got this program. My kids go to school, and he came home and said, you want to learn this instrument, but the instruments aren't really up to snuff. And that's where this started. Now, Evan, you are a professor here at Skidmore, quite an accomplished composer yourself and musician yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
So I know you're connected to this. But let's start with your kid coming home, your child, coming home from school. What was that like?
Yeah, my 10-year-old son came home and he said, Dad, the instruments, I'm looking around, some are plastic that they're playing on and holes in it and old and beat up. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. You're in elementary school, like why are kids, playing on these instruments? And I realized that I went to the head of the program, Mike Idarino, and he said, all the schools have to be, or all the instruments are school owned because no one can really afford to rent these instruments. And so they have instruments there that are from 1929. They're held together with duct tape and gum and everything else. I mean, they've made these things last and they have a very good program, but they're not getting a fair shake if you're trying to learn out on something that can't produce the sound to its fullest. And I thought there has to be a way to help.
Well, you know what? Anybody who plays an instrument, really, they always say this, right? They say, buy an instrument that's above really what you think you are as an artist or as a musician, because you'll hear things that instrument is producing that you will try to live up to. Right? How often do you hear that?
All the time.
I know myself, and I'm sure it's the same for you.
Right, and in addition to that, imagine you're starting out and the frustration of you go to play and then the valve stops working.
Yes,
so
right.
Now that's 2 to 3 days you're not practicing.
Right,
and then you fix it and you go back and then you run at that again. Like, it doesn't need to be an uphill battle. It should be very easy to sit down, take the time to practice an instrument and not let the instrument get in your way. And so if people have instruments that can really fully function and not be, used or put together with, a little grit and spit, then it makes a huge difference.
I remember my daughter, her first violin, the strings were too high off the fret, off the soundboard. And I thought to myself, that hinders you. It hinders you in a couple of ways. Because let's face it, if you're attracted to playing an instrument, it's probably twofold. Probably there's a science involved with it because there's a challenge in understanding the technology of what you're about to do. But there's also that creative urge. Something made you want to pick up a clarinet.
Right. Yeah, you heard something.
Why did you want to pick up a clarinet?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and or like I always laugh. My mother always told the story. She wanted to take piano because she wanted to play Moon River, and then when her piano couldn't play Moon River because she didn't know the notes, she was like, well, I don't know. So it's like all those little obstacles that get in the way of creativity. So it should certainly not be the instrument. Learning an instrument is a craft, but you certainly shouldn't be a technician in order to learn that instrument, especially when you're in 4th grade.
I want to ask you about this because I know that you really do understand the crossover between learning to play a musical instrument, which you might just say, oh, they want to learn popular song or they want to do that. No, there's something about triggering cognitive skills when you learn to play an instrument.
Absolutely. I find it, here at Skidmore, it's wonderful in the liberal arts setting because I will get students who are music majors as well as students who are neuroscience majors but have played 12 years of piano. And if you think about it, their discipline, like they learn discipline maybe not from their mom and dad, but the idea of they're disciplined in the sense of I have to stop the world for 30 minutes to practice an instrument. And what a gift to wall off the world from whatever you're working on or dealing with to say I'm going to make something beautiful in sound and music and get that thing that you can only fulfill in music. And so that's the opportunity you're providing. And if you can, it doesn't mean we're all going to be professional musicians. The end goal might be to just enjoy the arts, enjoy the music, just have that pleasure and that balance in life. You're going to be a far more productive in school, as an adult, you name it.
In work, it's true. I had mentioned to Evan that, our daughter is a patent attorney and she plays the violin.
Right.
And they work so closely together, and she's talked to me so much about it. I think part of the reason we're talking about this is that if you have a child and they show any interest at all in playing an instrument, you should encourage it. They may turn out to be a machinist. They may turn out to be a nurse. They may turn out to be a professor.
Right. Absolutely.
It takes many, many turns, but the discipline you learn and the way your mind has to work, you have to split your brain.
Right, you do.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And in the sense of that, you're giving the students an opportunity, these kids, and they can explore. I mean, they're at an age where it's exploration. Right. And so, the victory might not be the playing this massive concerto, it might be just making a beautiful sound. And it's so hard, especially this day and age, where there's always cutbacks or it's science-driven. And my argument is actually the better scientists are the one who have the musical background.
Well, you and I would agree. You always hear about STEM. STEM should be STEAM.
Right.
That that you stick in there should deal with the arts. But there's very few people that argue with this. They recognize exactly what we're talking about. Now, we've got 3 opportunities here. Saturday morning, so it doesn't cut into the week or whatever, for all of us to go to our closets, look at that instrument that's been sitting in there and think to yourself, geez, I haven't touched that in a long time. Or we've gotten a few extra guitars in our collection that maybe we don't need all these guitars.
Yes.
And here's an opportunity to pass this on and pass the tradition on and pass everything that we're talking about on to a child who has this yearning, has this desire to play an instrument. The 3 Saturdays are January 25, February 1st, and February 8th.
Right.
Right here at Skidmore, right here in this beautiful hall, which you have to see, by the way, Zankel, right?
Yes, Arthur Zankel Music Center, yeah.
And there's parking lot is right out front here at Skidmore, right up on North Broadway, and come in and there's all kinds of communities are contributing. We've got coffee houses involved, and we've got the burger place involved and whatever. And so you'll have refreshments, and you'll meet other people in kind, and you'll actually see how the students are involved in this too.
Right, yeah, we have great student volunteers. Madison Pappas and New Maelstrom have been very integral in organizing it, because it takes a lot of organization behind all of this. And so the idea is drop off your instrument. We're going to make it as easy as possible. You'll get a letter for a tax write-off if you want, some incentives, and then the local music institutions have agreed to clean the instruments, do some minor repairs, so then we can donate a very well used, a gently used instrument that is very well working and functioning for these students, as they've proven, will last generations.
Right.
They already have 100-year-old instruments, so you give them a newer one, that's going to last quite a long time.
And right here in our own community, Bill Cole from Cole's shop, Woodwind Shop, violin. No, I think it's Woodwind.
Woodwind, yeah.
And Matt McKay from Saratoga Guitar.
Yeah.
Both are volunteering,
right,
to take some of the instruments and make sure that they're up to spec, so that that the kids actually have the best opportunity, best leg up to get started in this. Some of the schools have already been identified, and as the list of instruments that are received grows, you're going to reach out to other schools in Saratoga, Warren, and Washington County.
Right.
Correct?
So the idea is we have targeted schools, and if we, say we get 50 flutes, then and they only need 20, there's 30 to go. There's plenty to go around because we know it's going to last and it's going to help, and it doesn't take up that much of a space, and it's something that will be fully usable. So it's going to, as they say, spread the wealth in terms of you have something lying around that's just collecting dust. I bet with a little bit of spit shine, it's going to be giving the gift of music to students all around the area.
I'm sure many of us, outside the fact that I know that Andrew here wants a tuba, so we have to get Andrew a tuba. A lot of times you'll start on one instrument, and you keep that instrument, but you stay involved with music, you learn another instrument, right? So many of us will play piano and guitar and bass, and you look around. I bet we've got stuff out there.
Absolutely.
And please bring it up to Skidmore. January 25, Saturday, February 1st is Saturday, February 8th is Saturday. 9 to noon?
9 to noon.
Okay, cool. And like I said, it's real easy access. Shoot up Broadway, come into the Skidmore campus. Zankel is right here. And really help Evan and his team. Really just, I've seen it on the kids' faces, and you have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give them that ability to start. And these programs in school need our support, and it really helps these students. I don't care what they do with their life, right?
It's going to be a fantastic gift to them that will last more than even their lifetime.
Well, you got that right. Okay, great. Thank you for
Thank
inviting
you.
us up.
My pleasure.
Terrific to talk to you. Best of luck with the program.
Thank you.
See this interview again. You can head to our website, looktvonline.com.